I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members. To my left, Lori David, to my far left, I guess. Ivan DeLargo to my left. Jennifer Nichols will be the assessor today, and Kelsey Harrison will be the secretary. I'm Marcel Larondo, I'll be chair. We will be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussions to those matters. Statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to applications of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. I'd ask you to put your phones on silent, please. Mine's the first one, probably the only one. Swear them in, please.
Would you like to swear in on the Bible or affirm without consent? Could you please state your name? Jennifer Nichols. And do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Could you please state your name?
Trevor Smith.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Jennifer, when you are ready.
Okay, so the first property that we're looking at today is 452 Alexander Avenue. This is a two-story side-by-side. It was built in 1976. It's 2,492 square feet, a full basement, which is not finished, 2 full bathrooms. We have no central air conditioning listed and no garages for this property. The lot is 5,818 square feet. It does have a commercial influence on it, so it's close to commercial property. And we have the 2020 assessment at $371,000 or $148.88 per square foot. So the first comparable on my sheet is by the Strathcona. It is a 1.5 story, so not quite 2-story, also a side-by-side, built in 1927 with a few little renovations or maintenance items done, so it's unaffected age of 1947, living area of 2,848 square feet, also for basement which is not finished, no air conditioning, no garage, just over 5,000 square feet, and also a commercial influence on that one. And that property sold in August of 2017 for a time-adjusted sale price of $380,300 or $133.53 per square foot. Comparable number 2 is 1019 Selkirk Avenue. And on the second sheet, there is a map showing where all the comparable properties are in relation to the subject. So comparable 1 is on the bottom left, and the subject is labeled just above that. Comparable 2 is the bottom on the right side. So that's 1019 Selkirk Avenue, which is also a 2-story side-by-side, built in 1967, 2232 square feet, again full basement which is not finished, 2 full bathrooms, no air conditioning, no garages. 4,800 square feet for the lot size, same commercial influence with some traffic for that one. And that property sold for $276,000 in January 2015, or $123.66 per square foot. 599 Charles Street, so comparable 3, which is just above comparable 2 on the map. 2-story side, built in 1960, 2160 square feet. So it's smaller than the subject, full basement, which is showing as finished for this property, no air conditioning, no garages. It has a smaller lot, so 3,340 square feet with a commercial influence. This property sold for $268,300, or $124.21 per square foot. And the last comparable 4, 1116 McCrae Avenue, a 2-story side-by-side, built in 1956, 2,288 square feet, a little bit smaller than the subject, full basement, which is not finished. This one is showing air conditioning and a detached garage. It does have a slightly larger lot, just over 6,000 square feet. Same commercial influence on this property. And this property sold in August of 2016 for $311,500, the time adjusted sale price, or $136.15 per square foot. So, looking at the comparable properties that I have here in comparison to the subject, I am recommending reducing the assessment from $371,000 to $334,000, which would be $134 per square foot.
You accepting that, or are you asking questions?
Oh, I have a few questions.
Okay, go ahead.
That's fine. And we do thank the city for recognizing that it was on the high side to start with, looking at the comps. Just with regard to the comparables here, and I'm looking at the map of where they are on the second page there. They're all fairly distant from the subject property. Is that fair to say?
Well, they're not on this, none of them are on the same street, but I think they're location-wise, the locations are similar.
So just looking at then the comparable number 1 on Strathcona Street there, that's just off of Portage Avenue, and I think that's the last street before Empress and Polo Park. That's correct, I think?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Which streets are that in.
The Selkirk property is pretty close to just being off of McPhillips by the looks of it. The McCrae property, comp number 4, that would be on the west side of McPhillips in the Maples area. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the 160 McCrae is showing as Benarski neighborhood.
And then the Charles Street property is considerably farther north, just south of Inkster.
Yeah, by the looks of it.
Okay. So these were chosen for size and age. I'm guessing. Is that correct?
Size and age, and also properties that weren't renovated, really, because the subject, based on the
Right.
pictures that you sent, was not really renovated.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Ivan, any questions?
Oh, just one, I think. It seems like a lot of this, I'm very familiar with this area, like, for instance, Alexander and McRae is quite a different area. Is it because you couldn't find similar properties, or?
Yeah, like this property, what I was looking for was 2-story side-by-sides, so not a home that has like an upper and a lower division, but like a side-by-side. So I wasn't really able to find anything in the immediate vicinity that I thought was
So I think
similar
it's
enough.
just the neighborhoods are vastly different from Alexander to McRae and that sort of thing.
Could be.
Okay,
I thought they
thank
were
you.
very similar.
Lori,
No, I have no questions at this time.
have you visited any of the properties?
I have driven by the subject on the outside.
Mhm.
Or sorry, no, this property, I didn't drive by the property, no. I looked at this one on Google Maps and then looked at pictures that the agent had sent. But no, I haven't been to the comparable properties.
Did you look at the MLS sales on those properties?
I don't believe that they were all on MLS. I think I made some notes.
2 of them, right?
Let me just double check. So, 1116 McCrae was a private sale. That one wasn't on MLS, as was 599 Charles. 580 Strathcona was on MLS, and I made some notes that it needs a lot of cosmetic updates, but the house looked clean but kind of in rough shape, which was similar to the condition I felt of the subject. And let's see if I can find 1019s. I don't seem to have made any notes regarding the property in Suffolk, so I can't specifically say.
You didn't have anything on Selkirk?
I didn't write any notes about it, so I can't remember specifically.
Okay, on with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So 452 Alexander Avenue, it is a duplex owned by Manitoba Housing. So its intent is to provide housing for low-income residents of the city. If you look at my page number 3, there's some brief stats on the property itself. The lot size is shown there, 5,818 square feet, 74-foot frontage, and we have 2 units, of course, it being a duplex, each of them being 1,246 square feet for a total of 2,492 square feet. And there is an unfinished basement. It was originally built in 1976. The subject property, I have a number of photos for you following this. The main 2 points, it is Manitoba Housing, so it does tend to have a bit rougher usage often than one might find in many rental duplexes. Obviously, there's variation within that, but there can be significant wear and tear beyond what one might find in a normal rental situation. And the second and more important point with regard to this property is they had a significant roofing issue where the roof had a lot of water penetration, which fell down onto the master bedroom ceiling and essentially destroyed the ceiling, and it had to be removed. As you can see in the photos, they currently have a tarp up there, where they did at the time of the inspection, which was in August of this year. So what goes along with that, with the water penetration, is you'll have water obviously going into the wall cavity, into the insulation, into the drywall, etc. So there's a significant cost that is involved in repairing this damage. You can see that it's open to the rafters there on my page number 7. So there's a significant capital outlay that the owner would have to go through to bring this property back to a rentable condition. Site and neighborhood, the site's shown on page number 8, fairly standard. There is no garage, as noted, and then the location. Location is pretty critical for this. You can see that it's located just to the east of Isabel in, I guess one might call it the North Centennial area. It's in that northern downtown section of Centennial. So on to the valuation itself. As the city's comps would show you there, there's very few, if any, more recently built duplexes in this specific area on which to base value. So what I have done, just to give a full reflection of the sale prices and the per square foot metrics of duplexes in the immediate area and in an area that's very comparable to it, is I've presented all of the duplex sales that occurred on the MLS in both the 9A area, which covers the area property itself is in, and then the 5A area, which covers the area immediately to the west of Isabel and south. So you can see that there were 4 sales that transacted in the 9A area, pardon me, ranging from a low of $50 a square foot up to $110 per square foot. Size range running between 1,710 square feet up to 2,480 square feet. And we have an average of $86 per square foot, $86.32 per square foot in that immediate area. Now again, there were no transactions of more recently built duplexes in that area. In Area 5A, you can see the sales that did transpire there. Again, very comparable area located just to the west of the property in that west of Isabel area, south to Portage Avenue. Considerably more sales of duplexes in this area, and the average per square foot metric there is $115.37 per square foot. Now, I've included the sales in the back of the agenda here, so you get more detail on them. You will notice that many of these properties are older than the subject. I certainly acknowledge that. However, again, we're looking at duplexes, so we're looking at an income property essentially. So these are not being purchased by somebody to live in themselves. They're being purchased as rental properties. So that would mean a purchaser would be looking at what they can achieve in rent at that location. So the age, while certainly important, does have a bearing on the quality of the structure and the layout, etc. That is one component, but certainly the income that could be driven from it in that area would be comparable in many of these circumstances. So I don't have one specific or a couple of specific comps to point you towards in terms of guiding you towards a specific value for the subject. However, I think it's probably fair to look at the subject in its current state as it is, which is what we're valuing as of the valuation date. There's a lot of money that needs to be spent on repair and of the property as noted. So if we look at the average per square foot selling price and attribute a deduction to that, it would appear to be a fair reflection of market value. So I have attributed a market value of $100 per square foot based on the sale comparables, a little lower than the market average, and that gives us a market value of $249,000.
Questions, Jennifer?
Yes.
Lori, any questions?
What is the property being rented out at right now?
It's based on ability to pay by the residents, so it's not strictly a market rent
Not
that they
total market
achieve.
rent.
It depends on how much money they bring in.
So if it were on the market, what is, you use comps, what are they, and you said they were mostly rental properties as well? Is there a rough number?
They are all duplexes. I didn't go through all of them, obviously, but
No.
and I don't have specific stats on what they were rented for, but experience just being in that particular area would tend to drive a lower rent than perhaps some better areas.
Thanks.
Ivan?
You mentioned a lot of repair. Would you care to put a number as to what do you think it would cost to put it in shape?
I did ask for any quotation that they may have on completing that repair, and I wasn't given a number on that by the time of our hearing, so I don't really know what the cost is going to be, but given the fact that it's water penetration into the walls, you've got, removal of drywall, removal of insulation, they're probably going to have to take some of that back to the studs. Obviously, the roofing issue needs to be addressed so it doesn't happen again. So I'm afraid I don't have a number for you.
Would you?
Trevor, when you were looking at the houses in the Centennial area, and that's where some of yours are, did you find any other duplexes that were side by side?
I did not, and I did look for them on the MLS, because I know that this is a side-by-side versus an up-down kind of situation. And again, I didn't go through each individual sale in the 5A area. In 9A, there were no side-by-sides that transacted in that period. In 5A, perhaps there was, but most of them were up-down from what I can determine.
In your learned opinion, would you not find that a side-by-side would have a better value because of the parking, the size of the yard, not up and down?
Yes, it would depend obviously on the situation of the property itself. If it had a larger yard and more parking, that would be a benefit, certainly. Side-by-sides, I guess it depends on the size of the unit and the fit out of it in the interior as well.
Looking through your comparables that you got references to, one of them would be, let's take the next one, 517 Bannatyne, a repo. Do you think a repo brings you a true market value?
Not specifically, and I'm careful not to point to one particular.
I know, but you did use it in your example, which would have helped bring that number down, would it not?
Which one are we referring to then?
517 Bannatyne.
Okay. Yes, I would agree. Typically, a repossession often can drive a lower value as the bank needs to obviously just recover what their mortgage outlay on the property is. However, so yes, I would be in agreement on that. Now, that's one sale.
No, we're going to work through your sales.
Okay.
97 Grove Street.
I will point out that you are probably more aware of some of the details on these than I may be in particular. So which one?
I'm only going to use the evidence you have.
Okay. 97 Grove.
That is a side-by-side.
That is indeed a side-by-side, yes.
Are they separate titles on each side, or is it 1,800 total square footage for the whole building?
The indication is that it was 1,800 in total. Now, having looked at the MLS in the past, sometimes the information is not perfect that's entered in there. And as I look at that building, there are 2 levels on it, so it may be that there are that each of them is 1,800 square feet.
And they have addresses of 97 and 99 Grove Street, correct?
Correct.
That was 192,000 built in, what year was that?
That particular one is, so it just indicates older on the form, so it doesn't have a date. So I certainly recognize that the majority of the sales are older, and if we had a lot of 1970s
No, but-
duplexes, I'd show them.
461 William.
Mhm.
That one is a year of 1891.
Correct.
I think that's a little too old to try and compare to 1976, wouldn't you? Considering construction and all the rest?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm just presenting all of the duplex sales that occurred in those two areas. So unfortunately, there were only 4 in 9A in that timeframe. The majority of them being significantly older. Now, the average, I think, for those was $86 a square foot. And we are obviously above that with a significant rental cost.
What did you think of the city's comparable number 2?
Number 2.
It's a little smaller. It was on Selkirk in 19.
Mhm.
It was a little smaller, but you still came in at $123 a square foot. It was built in 1967, so it's probably the closest one to 1976 that we've seen today. And it is a true side-by-side.
Yeah, certainly the date of construction size is certainly very comparable to it. I would agree that that would probably be the closest in terms of the age and structure. Just looking at location again, this one is, well, being on Selkirk, it's a lot closer to McPhillips than it is to Main Street, say, so somewhat different in terms of location than the subject.
I've got no further questions. Anything you guys want to say in your summation?
I'm fine.
You're fine, you're fine?
I actually did have a couple of questions. but-
Sure.
Okay.
You have another question of Trevor?
Yes. Some of my questions have already been touched on, but, yeah, I was just gonna point out just how old a lot of the comparables were, but I think we already touched on that, so
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll leave that. And I was gonna confirm whether the sales in 9A, they are all duplexes, but they're not all sales, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And then I just wanted to go back to the damage. Just wanted to confirm, the damage is not the entire roof, it's just over one area of the house, just the master bedroom you had mentioned?
Yes, the damage that occurred was over the master bedroom area in terms of the ceiling being destroyed, and obviously the walls with the water penetration as well. So interiorly, yes. Now, as far as the roof goes, they'll need to obviously address the whole roof issue, I would think, not just a section of it.
Right. And the bedroom that had damage is still being used, or it is vacant?
It was not being used at the time, was my indication, because of this issue. Now, I'm not sure if it is at the present time or not.
Okay, so not really affecting their ability to rent it then?
No, I wouldn't say that, as they still have to renovate it, so it probably still is vacant, I would suggest.
And they are planning to repair the damage?
Of course.
Probably as soon as possible, so they can continue rent or at least start renting it?
As any responsible landlord would, they are going to repair the damage to their asset, yes.
Okay, thank you, that was all the questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You'll be hearing from us. Come on down. We'll get you sworn in. We'll get to see you twice in a week.
Yes.
Would you like to swear in on the Bible or affirm with oath?
I'll swear it on the Bible.
Could you please state your name?
Ryan Oliveros.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So we're going to start with 728 Scotland Avenue.
Do you want me to distribute all of the evidence right now?
Just take it all.
All?
I already have.
You have one? Okay.
Thanks.
The assessor already has their copies for each.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry for that.
That's okay.
Thank you. Jennifer, when you are ready.
So the subject property here is 728 Scotland Avenue. This property is in Earl Grey. It's a two-story, again, a side-by-side, built in 1977. This property has had extensive renovations. So in our, for the city has put an effective age of 2007 on this property, just to reflect the renovations that it's had. It is 1,110 square feet with a full basement, which to my knowledge is not finished. One full bath, one half bath with central air, no garages. The lot is 2,247 square feet. It is on a bus route with a heavy traffic influence. The 2020 assessment for this property is $273,000 or $245.95 per square foot. So the first comparable, and again, there's a map on the second page that just shows where the comparables are in relation to the subject. So comparable one is 394 Boardroom Avenue. This property is in the River Osborne area, so it is not in the immediate area, but an area that I felt was similar, and also the comparables that I'm presenting have been renovated, as far as I can tell, similarly, in a similar way, like to the subject. So this property is a two-story side-by-side, built in 1984. We're not showing an effective age at the moment on this property, but it did have an MLS listing showing pictures of the renovations that they've done. So this property is renovated. It's 1,291 square feet, a full basement, which is finished. Central air conditioning, no garages. The lot is smaller, 1,979 square feet. It doesn't have the same influence, but it does have a commercial influence. So it's not the same influence, but it still has a negative influence on it. This property sold for a time adjusted sale price of $304,800 or $236.10 per square foot. Comparable two is 594 Carlaw Avenue in the Lord Roberts area, a two-story side-by-side, built in 1977. Again, we're not showing an effective age on this property, but this one was a private sale. It wasn't on MLS, but looking at this property from the outside, it definitely looks to be renovated. It does have like a beautiful garden and looks nice on the outside, so, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen it inside, so I can't say for sure. This one has a full basement, which is not finished. One full bath, one half bath, air conditioning, and this property does have a detached single car garage. The lot for this property is 2,500 square feet with a capital influence. This property has a time adjusted sale price of $244,800 or $211.03 per square foot. Comparable three is 518 Centennial Street, two-story side-by-side, built in 1988. Again, this one was a private sale, so not on MLS. It, again, looks like it's definitely had something done from the outside, but I haven't seen the inside, so I can't speak for sure to the renovations on this property. 1,103 square feet, so look very similar in size. A full basement, which is not finished. One full, one half bath, air conditioning, a detached garage. Lot is 2,698 square feet with a commercial influence, and this property sold for $270,000 or $244.79 per square foot. And then the last property is 873 Hector Avenue, which is in the Grant Park neighborhood. It is a two-story side-by-side. This property was built in 2007, so it's like the effective age is the the same as the age built for this property, so it definitely is a more modern property. 1,248 square feet, full basement, which is not finished, 1 full, 1 half bath, air conditioning. This one has a detached garage, 2,499 square feet for the lot size. It has a bus route and heavy traffic influence, so that is similar to the subject. And this property sold for $325,600 or $260.90 per square foot.
Ann,
Yes.
questions?
Yes, if I may. Ms. Nichols, the effective age that the city has applied to the property here, does that, you said that was based off of just the renovations that were done to the property, is that correct?
Yeah.
Does your model also consider comparable sales in that once to determine the effective age? I'm just curious.
No,
It doesn't?
no. The effective age is not determined by the model. It would be determined by the person who did the initial inspection when the renovations were done.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so looking at your comparable number 1, that's 394 Wardlaw, located in the River Osborne area. You stated that this was a similar area, but would you not say that residential dwellings within this area, would they not sell at a premium considering the amount of amenities around it, just considering that the area may be a bit more superior to the subject neighborhood?
Actually, well, in my opinion, I think that the subject property is in a pretty good area. It's pretty close to the new shopping, like where IKEA is and all of the new shopping there. So I actually thought the subject was in a superior area, which maybe accounted for the slightly lower price per square foot at River Osborne.
Okay. All right, and I'm still referring to your first comparable here. The finished basement, would you not say that finished basements add value to a home?
Yes.
And has that been accounted for in the value here? The fact that it's finished basement, I don't know how much weight you put on the first comparable, but.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
This property, I don't recall how nice the finish was of the basement for this property. But because the sale price per square foot was fairly similar, a little bit lower than the subject, but fairly similar, I figured the difference between the location being a little inferior for a comparable one versus having a finished basement, kind of a balance. But I thought it was a reasonable comparison, although it did have finished basement, but still within the range, and all the others don't have finished basement, so it's just.
Fair enough. All right, just looking to your comparable number 2 and 3, would you say, or these two both have garages on them, would you say that garages would add value
Yeah,
to homes?
for sure.
Okay. Comparable number 3, you said it was not on MLS, and you said it was a private sale?
Right.
Did you confirm that this was a market sale at all, or there was no special conditions or anything, it being private?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Same thing, yeah, with comparable number 4. Okay, no further questions.
Ivan?
No questions.
Lori?
I have a couple of questions. It's about your comparables. They're all in different neighborhoods, and, you indicated that's why you think they're comparable. But the neighborhoods are different, so I guess my question is, what was the market value increase in these different neighborhoods in the assessment, like from your map?
The increase in the assessed value, you mean?
Yeah, the map you have, like what was the difference in these different neighborhoods?
Oh, I don't have that information, I'm not sure.
It's the colored map that has the different increases on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't have that information.
Okay, then just in terms of your knowledge, since you chose them as comps, is the market value increases typically the same across these 5 different market areas, or neighborhood areas, I mean?
With we're talking about the assessed value increases?
And
like
the
between
sale
the
values,
multi-
yeah. Like overall, not just an individual comp.
Right. I think that Definitely if, I could have found, comparable sales of side-by-sides
Mhm.
all in the exact same area of the subject, that definitely would have been preferable. But given the choice between properties that weren't similar enough to the subject and going outside the immediate area a little bit, I think these areas are comparable enough that, it still gives an idea of the value, of what the value of the property would be,
Okay.
even though they're not identical.
But we're not sure what the average increases in these neighborhoods were overall. I know it wouldn't just be side by sides, but just to have a sense of whether, one is increasing more than the other, because like I hear what you're saying, but to me, just looking at Scotland Avenue versus Centennial Street, is Carla, is it by those bus barns there, is that the commercial influence?
Carla, I'm not sure exactly.
Like it's across the river.
Across Pembina from it.
I'm across Pembina.
Oh, is it?
Right across Pembina, basically directly across from Scotland.
Yeah, I know what, yeah, okay, right, I know where that is. Okay, thank you.
On your subject property, you said a number of renovations. Was anything done to the insulation on the building?
The installation.
Insulation. You see anything?
Take a look at the notes. So the notes for this property said, including demo of rear entry and the lowering wall between the kitchen and the dining room, construct a new powder room and a closet at the rear of the dwelling. They redid the walls, the floors, the kitchens, the bathrooms. They added a half bathroom, and added central vac and air conditioning. It doesn't say anything about installation.
Do you think an R factor would have any effect on the cost of a home?
An R factor.
Insulation factor?
I'm not sure I understand it.
1977, homes constructed, they used 2x4s. 1980, after that, they used 2x6s. Increases the insulation, brings down the cost of the home.
Right,
You've only got one here that's 1977.
right.
The other ones are 84, 88, and 2007. So they're all more energy efficient than 1977 built.
Honestly, I'm not sure if many home buyers are that savvy about construction. So I would say I don't really think that would affect the value as much as somebody who's knowledgeable might think it should.
The house at Carla, 594, that was on MLS, correct?
No, that was a private sale.
That was a private sale.
Yeah,
So all you have is the sale and that's it.
right.
It's got a garage though.
Yes. A single detached garage.
The subject has no garage.
Right.
So you don't know the condition, you never saw the house, right? On
The
Carla?
subject?
On Carla.
Oh, the comparable? No, I haven't seen that house.
And the subject, you did go see it then?
The subject, I didn't do an inspection because somebody from our department was there just a few years ago for the renovation. I didn't feel it necessary, I needed to speak with the agent who confirmed nothing had been changed, but I did see these properties from the outside.
Now, these are all duplexes, I do take it.
Yes, yeah.
And these are the sale of not the complete duplex, these are the sales of just a half,
Right, yes,
just so
yes.
everyone's
I should
aware.
remember that, yes. Yeah. This is just one, yeah, one.
Your two-story on, no, leave that one. Let's go on with your presentation, please.
All right, so the subject property, 728 Scotland Avenue, roll number 12-01525, 3100, file number 19-3426. Just to give you a brief overview of my brief, on page 1 I have my assessment summary, page 2 I have the property description, page 3 I just have some notes about my property valuation. From pages 5 to 7 I have photos of the comparable sales. Page 8 I have a map overview of the comparable sales. Page 9, you'll see my comparable sales list there, along with details of the subject property. And pages 10 to 12 is just some of the, pages 10 to 13 are just some details about the assessment information. So going to page 2, we are requesting this board to reduce the value from $250,000 reduce the assessed value from 273,000 to 255,000. We've already gone through sort of the details about the subject property itself. It's a two-story side-by-side residence located at 728 Scotland Avenue. The property has a total living area of 1,110 square feet and was built in 1977. I acknowledge the fact that there has been quite some extensive work done on the subject property as well, and I've listed some of the work done on page 2 of my brief. The lot's rectangular shape and is 2,247 square feet with R1S zoning. All right, so moving on to page 9 of my brief. I'm just going to go through my comparable sales here. I've identified 7 comparable sales, 3 of which I found on the the city's online comparable sales list. That would be 782 Scotland, 394 Wardlaw, and 748 Garwood Avenue. Range of my comparable sales, time adjusted, is $156 a square foot to $236 a square foot. Average time adjusted price is $198 per square foot, and the median is $207 a square foot. All right, so 748 Garwood Avenue, it's a 2-story side-by-side, built in 1962. Living area is 1,280 square feet. It has basement finish, 1 half bath, 1 full bath. It does have air conditioning, garage is single detached. It has some upgrades done to it, such as the kitchen, some appliances, and the hardwood flooring. This property sold for a time adjusted sale price of $241,700. That works out to a time adjusted sale price per square foot of $188.83. Comparable number 2, 782 Scotland Avenue, 2-story side-by-side, built in 1976. Total living area is 1,470 square feet. The basement is finished. 1 half bath, 2 full baths with air conditioning. It sold for a time adjusted sale price of $229 and $300. That works out to a per square foot value of $155.99 a square foot.
Are you on page 9?
Yes, page 9.
Why have you lost me?
782 Scotland, comparable number 2.
Up here, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not following that, we're seeing your numbers that you're talking about.
Sorry?
Why am I missing these numbers? Do you guys follow it?
Yeah, they're down
Hmm?
here. It's this
They're
one.
on the
They're on the
bottom?
bottom.
Okay, now I got it.
We're okay?
I'm okay now.
Okay. All right. I acknowledge that 782 Scotland Avenue. From what I saw in MLS, there has not been any upgrades to this property. 394 Wardlaw Avenue in the River Osborne neighborhood, 2-story, built in 1984. Total living area is 1,291 square feet. The basement is finished. 1 half bath, 1 full bath with air conditioning. The upgrades to this were a kitchen and the deck. Sold for a time adjusted sale price of $304,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot is $236.10. Comparables number 4 and 5, I'm just going to go through them together. They're very similar properties, as you can see. Both built in 1950. Total living area is 1,144 square feet. Basements are finished. 2 full baths, air conditioning, and it sold for $236, and they each sold for $236,700. Time adjusted sale price per square foot is $206.91. 476 Morley Avenue. I tended to put much weight on this sale. Lord Roberts neighborhood, 2-story home built in 1958, 988 square feet. There is a basement, but it is not finished. 1 half bath, 1 full bath. And you can see here that it has had some upgrades to it as well. Sold for $223 and $223,400. Time adjusted sale price per square foot of $226.11. Comparable number 7, 779 Rathgar Avenue. 2-story home built in 1969, 1,216 square feet. With basement, but is not finished. 1 half bath, 1 full bath. There is air conditioning. There were some upgrades done to this property as well. It sold for $200,500. So based on those sales, again, I've put some significant weight on comparable number 6. That is 479 Morley Avenue. So we asked that based off of these sales, I have provided sales that have had some renovations done to them. So we are asking this board to reduce the value from $245.95 a square foot to $230 a square foot. This works out to a rounded value of $255,000. And that concludes my presentation.
Questions?
Yes. So, just looking at the comparable sheet here.
Yes.
So, would we read it in comparison to the subject? Comparables 1, 2, and 3 are not as extensively renovated as the subject has been.
I would agree with that, yes.
Okay, and then I just wanted to double check with you, because I thought I remembered looking at 71 and 69 Academy. Were those not sold together on MLS? I thought I remembered a note.
Yes, they were sold together on MLS. I looked up the sales on Sabre, and from my understanding, there were different instrument numbers for each of them. So I treated those as, I would assume those are 2 separate sales.
Okay. Were
Just
they
sold together, maybe marketed together. I don't know for sure. I guess I would have to look into that more.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
guess you don't know if they were purchased by the same person, or if they were purchased by different people?
That I would not know.
Okay. And then, I'm just gonna skip to comparable 7 here. So, this property I see has had some renovations, but it doesn't really, not much, I guess except for the bathroom, not really anything that would kind of give that like wow factor when somebody walks in. It's all kind of other, it's like more mechanical stuff, like the roof, soffits, fascia, furnace, windows, would you agree?
I would agree with that.
Okay. And then just going back to 476 Morley, just wanted to point out just 2 things. So this property has had renovations, looks like, but it is quite a bit older than the subject, right? Built in 1958 versus 1977.
Yes, but I would say that it has gone through some renovations as well. Yeah.
Right.
And I acknowledge the fact that I have used older comparable sales too, just to be fair.
Mhm.
Or sorry, older properties for sales.
And just the last thing, this 476 Morley is 988 square feet.
That's correct,
Where the
yes.
subject is just over 1,100. Very small. Okay, all right, those are all the questions I have.
Lori?
I just have a quick question. What is the difference in the zoning? The subject property is R15 and this is R2?
R1S.
R1S, yeah, okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So I know with R2 zoning, you probably have a same setbacks, but R2 properties tend to have larger areas when zoned that way, from my knowledge.
So it's
Larger.
not multifamily or something?
R2?
Yeah.
R2, I don't believe is, I believe that, I can't speak to it exactly, it may be a conditional, it may be a conditional
Okay. Do you know what the
permission
difference
for
is?
it.
Don't actually.
Okay, thank you.
Ivan?
No questions.
A lot of your properties are older that you had for yours?
Yes, I would say 4 and 7, they, 4 to 6 actually, they were built in 58. 69, they're looking at about a 8-year difference.
Could you use word law as well as I know the city did?
Yep, so comparable sales number 1 to 3.
Yeah.
They were used by the city. My interpretation of them was a little bit different though, just because, I mean, with the upgrades and everything, not significant, but.
But word law was upgraded, just like yours was upgraded.
Ward law?
Yeah,
Ward law only had the kitchen and deck to my knowledge.
so it didn't have as much.
Not as much, no. And I believe I'm going to be on the higher end of my comparable, so I feel like I'm capturing the renovations done to the properties as best as possible, just looking at these comps.
Okay, I'm good. On to the next one. This is gonna be all the same, isn't it?
Yes, and I was just gonna say, I did use the same comparables, because they're all pretty much right beside each other, and they're all renovated to the same degree, they all look the same from the outside as well.
So if you want to read the roll number on and that's it, we'll
Okay.
take it as read, right? 'Cause you-
Yeah.
you
Mr.
agree
Chair, I
with that?
concur with her, I have used the exact same comparables
Okay, so let's
as well.
just read the roll on.
Just the roll number?
Yep.
Okay, so, like, should I just go in order on the document?
Because the roll number will be different on,
The roll number is different.
yeah, you gotta read the roll number.
Okay, and just in order on it, like that it is on the docket?
That's correct.
Okay, so, the next property is 12-015253000.
That's good, thank you. And you're using all the same information?
We're using all the same
Exactly, so you don't have to make any presentations either.
Nothing I didn't have anything additional.
Did you have anything additional you wanted to add?
I mean, I was gonna say that there was like a 40 square foot difference between the lot sizes, but that's not gonna have a
That's not gonna-
significant bearing on these.
Good. Should we move on then?
Can I
Unless you
just-
guys have some
I have a
questions?
generic question
Sure,
for
go
all
ahead.
of them, because of the way we're doing it makes sense. What is the rent on all of these per month? Is it the same?
No.
Because they're all on Scotland.
I was not able to get that information, unfortunately, I apologize.
Okay, but they're all rentals.
I would assume so,
Mhm.
yes.
Okay.
Number 7 would be 738 Scotland, and again, you're doing the same thing?
Yes,
So why don't you read the roll number on?
so the roll number for that property is 12-015252500.
And your concurrence, your information is all the same as well?
That was 738, right? Or 730?
738.
730, yeah, all my information is the same as the, as 728, so.
Okay. Is the ask, your ask is the same too?
My ask is the same, correct?
Oh,
That's
okay.
correct.
Let's move on to the next one, unless my members have a,
I'm good, thank you.
number 8 is 734 Scotland. Roll number, please.
Yeah, sorry, I just probably should point out the assessed value is $1,000 higher for the
Yeah.
last two properties, but it's, yeah,
We'll,
other than that, it's.
we're not talking anything that's.
No, no, I just mentioned it. So roll number for 734 Scotland is 12-015252700.
And this one is down to the same as the first.
Yes,
Your information is all the same, you're both the same 255,
The
correct?
asking is the same,
Okay,
yes.
you're all good with that?
Yes.
Thank you. The next one is 736 Scotland. If you, again, 773, the same, so go
Yeah.
for it, roll number.
roll number is 12-015252600.
You're in agreement that everything's the same?
Everything is the same. I was gonna ask one question about comfort, but
Go ahead.
I feel like that would be
Go ahead,
inappropriate.
ask one question.
Is that okay, Jennifer? I wanna make sure I'm fair to you.
Sure?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just 873 Hector Avenue, are you aware that it was built by KDR Homes?
No,
Are you aware of KDR Homes?
I have heard of your homes, yes.
I did just very minor, very minuscule research on it, but from my understanding, were you aware that they were luxury home builders? That's kind of more of their focus, but.
KDR Homes, yeah, they, to my understanding of them is that they built, yeah, nicer good homes. I'm definitely not suggesting that the subject should be a 261
Yeah.
per square foot, but
Okay.
just.
That's why we didn't even, everybody had pretty much taken that one out of the head anyway, including the assessment. Not just me.
Thank
And
you very
that's-
much for that, but.
Everybody's in agreement? Thank you very much. No, you gotta stick around.
Okay.
You're free to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You will have to give me the roll number on 22 Roundtree Avenue
Okay.
and the information on the property.
Oh, okay, I have to go through it?
Yep, just the information on that property. You don't have to give us the, you can read the rest.
Okay. Okay, 22 Lone Tree Avenue, roll number 030929999635. Again, this one is in Bridgewater, Sales, 2-story side-by-side, built in 2018, 1526 square feet, full basement, which to my knowledge has not been finished. one full bath, 2 half bathrooms with a shower, air conditioning, and an attached single car garage, lot 3,850 square feet. This property we have assessed at $379,000 or $248.36 per square foot. Should I give the rest?
We might have some questions on this already.
Okay.
Laura, do you have any questions, or?
I'm just looking at your subject history. This house was built in 2018, and the sale is outside the reference year, correct?
Yes,
It's
it is.
2019.
Yes, yes. And so that's the first time sale that's purchased from the builder. This home was a show home, so
Okay.
there is some information on the Home Builders Association website about this property. And one of the questions I was going to ask of the owner was what their actual total price was, because I did speak briefly with this owner, and she mentioned that there were some inclusions, that she mentioned that, yes, what did she say? She said 10,000 of this purchase price included the dryer, the washer, the stove, the TV, and the air conditioning. So some of those things we don't really include, they would just be included anyway.
But this is the amount that's
But-
registered at land titles, isn't
This
it?
is what was registered. However, I don't think this amount includes GST, and I'm not sure really what her actual total cost was, because when I was looking at the website, it says their selling price, their selling prices don't include land, GST, or development
Right.
charges. So I wasn't that clear on what her actual total cost was for this property, so yeah, I can't say what her actual total cost was. By my calculations, it should have been a little more. By my calculations, it would have been about $361, even taking out some for the TV, but I don't know.
Who was the builder?
The builder on this one was
It looks like Ventura on the back of your page.
Yes, Ventura.
Oh, Ventura, yeah.
Ivan, do you have any other questions?
No.
Did you look at the sale for 2018 on the property? Was it to the owner or to Ventura?
The land sale, I can't recall, I'm not sure, because it was a show home, I'm guessing it was Ventura, but I'm not sure.
Okay, the owner was probably trying to get it down closer to what he paid for it.
Yeah, she was. I'm not sure where, she was actually gonna send me some information, and then I never heard from her, so. I'm not sure.
Do you know who built? Are these the ones in town center?
The 3, 1, 2, and 3, yes.
So it doesn't have a walkout, does it?
No,
None of them did?
not to my knowledge, no.
Back lane, back lane, back lane, so those ones definitely don't. I've got no other questions. If you are all good, we're good. Shut her down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.